Okay. Hi everyone, good evening again. Thank you for being here. My name is Miriam Lawani. I'm your host on these free webinars that, just talk about recycling in Nigeria, encourages, new entrants, equip them, with the right knowledge that they would need to thrive in the recycling space. And I am a founder of Green Hill Recycling. The recycling company here in Lagos, Nigeria, has been around for quite a while, and we've done pretty much good stuff. We've done well for ourselves, and we continue to do better each day by the help of God. Today, I have the one and only Mr. OLAWALE ADEBIYI. He's the founder. Well, he's the CEO. He's the CEO. I know he had some on the G founding things, Cha, so maybe he will talk about it. He has to be part of the story from the beginning, but he's the current CEO of Recyclers Corporation. I'm sure he's going to tell us a bit about himself, maybe just a bit. He's a very quiet guy, doesn't talk much, but Recyclers is the pioneer plastic collection and recycling company in Nigeria, and he currently leads the team. He holds an MBA from Indiana University's Kelley School of Business and holds both a bachelor's and master's degree in chemical engineering from Florida Institute of Technology. While he was pursuing his graduate degree in chemical engineering, he was able to work on groundbreaking research on hydrogen production utilizing solar energy, and he co-authored several patents and publications in the renewable energy field. So you can tell why he's very passionate and why the interest in recycling. He has worked for the largest steel maker in the United States. I said if people from the United States are coming, don't worry, they will soon join. Between 2006 and 2016, he's worked on several projects, such as the Greenfield Blast Furnace construction project, where he was selected to lead the efforts of coal supplier selection and coal blend testing for the $3 billion Greenfield project. Lots and lots of things to learn about Mr. Wale. If you want to know more about him, his work, and a little bit about him, his LinkedIn profile is in the chat room, so you can click and follow him. I'm sure there will be a lot to learn following him. So thank you so much, Mr. Wale. Thank you for being here. We're glad to have you. We know you don't talk much, but at this point you can unmute and say hello to us.
Thank you so much, Miriam. It's an honor to be here. The introduction was very, very, very nice. So thank you. I felt, I did a lot so this. But I appreciate you for having me on this talk, and I really am glad that you saw that it was important for me to speak to your audience. I want to just commend you on what you have been doing for the past few months. I'm noticing some of the outreach you've been doing to the entire recycling sector, and I think these things are really informative and really helpful to have this dialogue. So I'm very happy to be part of that discussion. So thank you so much for thinking about me and giving me the offer. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm available for the next, I don't know how long you guys will have me here.
Well, ideally, an hour and a half max.
I'm here.
Sometimes the conversations get very heated, and it's difficult for us to stop. But yeah, give or take an hour and a half. So let's just jump right in. Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words, and thank you for being here as well. So, Recyclers has been around for over 12 years, yes?
Yes.
Fantastic. And still going strong, right? I'm sure the organization has seen, gone through several seasons, within the landscape in Nigeria. So to start us off, could you just give us an overview of the current state of the recycling industry in Nigeria today? We have friends from across African countries, and actually some people who joined in, or rather who registered from the US, the UK, and they just want to learn about the landscape of the recycling industry in Nigeria, right? So cataloging
Sure.
your journey over the past 12 years. Where are we right now? What's that overview that you can give us about the current state of recycling industry in Nigeria? And then, are there any economic shifts that are impacting it? If there are, what are those? What are the most critical of them? So I'll just allow you to take it away. Thank you.
Sure. I just want to just talk about the journey overall. I can tell you how we've actually gotten here, and just tell you where we are today. So you, of all people, know that this recycling sector has had a huge shift over the past few years, and I will say that it has exploded over the last 18 months. We've seen an explosion of growth in that sector. And when we started out in 2012, literally we were starting out from the very bottom of this current space that we're in terms of, what are the opportunities. In 2012, when we started, there was maybe one or two people that were uptaking PET in Lagos. And I'm sure everybody in this group knows what PET is. PET is just PET plastic bottles that we use to consume beverages. So there was only like one or two. Alchem is the one that comes to mind. So Alchem kind of are the pioneers of this waste collection, where they started out and were collecting plastics. And so everybody was pretty much selling to them, at least us and a few others in the sector. But as we started growing, we started seeing opportunities to grow. We cyclers, one of the people, at least one of us in this sector, was able to kind of find opportunities to grow the same way every other company has done that, by leveraging grants, leveraging opportunities with, partnerships with corporations to actually allow them to continue to grow their sector. But what we saw, I think it started out in 2020. The demand for PET bottles just kind of started hitting a high. And I always tell people that I told my team in 2016, 2017, that if we start selling plastics for the same price that we're selling aluminum cans, we're going to be rich. That was the joke I said. If we start selling plastics for the price of aluminum cans, we're going to be rich. And that time, we're selling aluminum cans for 200 naira per kg. So that's kind of a joke now, because today, PET bottles are selling for 500, 600 naira per kg. So it's 3 times that. So at this point, we have no excuse but to try to live up to that prediction that I had. But if you kind of drill down into the Nigerian market particularly, what you're seeing is that there's a huge growth in uptake. What has happened since 2018, 2020, when there was a policy that allowed us to actually begin to use, rPET in packaging. That was the very first, I'll say, like the thing that lit the fire. Once that policy was passed, it allowed companies to begin to invest in rPET. And so what rPET is just recycled PET. But for the most part, before 2018, 2019, most people just use it for fiber. Now there is a demand for bottle-to-bottle recycling, both from a global and local. So in market today, the driving force for demand is coming from the local recycling plants that have just come up in the past 4 years. Some of them are Aleph, you have Somnex that's about to come online, you have Polysmart, you have obviously all the other players that are still in the market. So all of them are putting online about 15, 20,000 tons a year equipment. So that actually more than doubles the demand locally. But we're also seeing that there's demand coming from Europe and other parts of the world. So that, in addition to what we're seeing locally, has driven the price 4 times, 5 times over the past 18 months. And it has created, I would say, a shock to the system, because for companies like recyclers or other smaller companies, it was very difficult to go out and try to buy the same recycled plastics. We used to give, in 2022, 10 to 15 naira per kg to buy, and that was like, we're getting tons. If you offer somebody that much money now, they can fight you. It's like, it won't be like an insult. I think they might even fight you. So right now, our average uptake price just for loose plastics is about 450 to 500 naira per kg. So that's like 5,000%, if my math is right. So we are at a point where it has exploded. It's a good thing and a bad thing, because the explosion has caused us to allow more incentive to people, but it's also making it difficult for aggregators to be able to finance this operation, because the cost of collecting materials has gone up so high. So if you don't have good working capital, you're not able to survive. So it's a very interesting position. And what's unique is that a lot of the demand that has come online, there was no plan for offtake or plastic collections. So they just came online and said, okay, we're going to just buy at any price. That was the strategy. But the problem with that is that if you don't have a proper collection system in place, you're putting pressure on the existing structure. So people like us are struggling because we're fighting this battle of pricing. but there's no new capacity coming like that. They're going after the same plastics. So everybody's chasing the same plastics. We're not creating new avenues to collect more plastics. So yeah, it's something that has been difficult to navigate for a lot of people, and we have worked hard to try to manage that. So I hope that was a good explanation. I know I went into a long tirade.
Fantastic. No, it's. I mean, the idea of all of these webinars is to just share, right? So you haven't gone. There's no time limits to how much time you have to respond to a question, and usually one question actually feeds into the next, and you hit it spot on. So, in your view, we've been talking about PET for the longest time, and for most recycling companies, it's the cash cow, right? For Greenhill as well, that's our cash cow. Most accessible, available, if you like, easier to manage and all that. But what are the biggest untapped opportunities in the recycling sector, in Nigeria's recycling sector today? And how can businesses position themselves to take advantage of these areas? You see a lot of people still coming into the space, right? Oh, they want to set up a pet factory, they want to do that and want to do this. But are there other untapped opportunities? And if there are, what are the biggest untapped opportunities? And how can other businesses, position themselves to take advantage of these untapped opportunities?
Yeah, great question. And it's something that we also are working on. You see that behind me have like this big PET bottles, pails. But I mean that's the breadwinner, the money maker. That's as much as you look at opportunity, that's what's paying the bills. But on top of what you mentioned, we absolutely have to look at other alternatives. Obviously, sachet, everybody's familiar with the flexibles, which I would say after PET, that's the next opportunity. Flexibles are still very much collected, explored. So I feel like the more we look at those flexibles, because a good measure for anybody would be if you're just walking down the street, what do you see on the street mostly? Today, you rarely actually see PET, which is a good thing. You're rarely going to see PET. There's a lot of scavengers on the street picking up PET every chance they get. What you're seeing now is you see more flexible like sachet, you see a lot of styrofoam, you see a lot of polyethylene bags. So that's really, I would say, an opportunity because there are uptake opportunities where people can sell for waste to chemicals. There is an opportunity to sell for that market. In addition to that, we are working with other uptakers for glass. We've been working with a large glass recycler. I think glass is something that would be a huge opportunity for everybody to focus on because there is demand and there's not enough collection for glass. So I would recommend people to start looking at glass. And then we're working with Tetra Pak right now for the UBC cartons. That's also an opportunity that we can leverage because these companies need to be able to collect it. And somebody even reached out to me and said, hey, can you collect 10,000 tons a year of UBC? And we'll pay you for it. I'm like, 10,000 tons a year? And it's like, I did the math. I'm like, if I can do that, I'll be rich. But I know I can't because it's like, it's going to, as you know, it's a very difficult thing to create that type of collection network, to collect that much volume. I mean, that's a big task. So, but it's there. I mean, there's a demand for it. I can tell you that there's a demand for it. So I would say as a recycler, you shouldn't kind of zero in on PET, even though PET is, I would say, the breadwinner. I'd say look at other options. And the easiest way to find out is just to walk on the street and see what's on the street that people are not even looking at. I'll say, cartons, even styrofoam. We're looking at styrofoam, even though obviously the challenge with some of these materials is that once you're able to collect it, who is going to offtake? And sometimes some of these partners may be a little shaky. They might say, oh, I want you to collect it, but you collect and they don't want it again. So you kind of have to find out who is the right partner that is ready to go and commit funding. For me, it's like, if you want to say, oh, I want to collect, like, how much do you have to collect? If you don't have money, I'm not even interested, That's like, for me, and people think I'm arrogant, I don't care. They say, if I talk to you one time and it doesn't have anything to do with money, that's the last time I talk to me. That's like, until you have money involved. Because it's a waste of time, because you have time, you have to be working, trying to make opportunities. And people want to try and do this. I'm like, is there money involved? If there's no money involved, please don't involve me.
And so, even how much money, right?
I mean, yeah, obviously, it can't be small money. It's like,
there's no money involved.
Yeah, there's not so much opportunity. You can't spend time working for people and not getting anything. Those days are past. And in the early days, we struggle with that. People will say, oh, come and do this, come and do that, come and do this. I'm like, I will do it because we needed the uptakes, we needed the exposure. But now you kind of have to be selective about who you talk to, how long you talk to them. For me, it's one call. If after that one call, there's no money involved, I'm not talking to you.
You can sit. So, I mean, you can say this because of the position that you're at, right? And how over the years you've, struggled, sweat and blood. A lot of people don't know that recycling is serious business. It's hard work.
It's still sweat and blood, by the way. But it's still sweat and blood.
Right? To get to this point. Well, I mean, for somebody who is just coming in, an aspiring recycler, an aspiring collector, aggregator, what are some of the accessible entry points into this business in Nigeria? Okay, maybe you should answer that first, and then I'll ask the next question.
I was going to say, at least I can tell you the story from Recycler. Recycler started very small. And even when I joined Recycler in 2016, Recycler was smaller than most recyclers that are in business today, in terms of volumes, capacity. We actually had a loaner bailer from Alchem. We had a little horizontal bailer that were borrowing people. I think that bill could bail maybe like 100 kg, maybe even 50 kg. That's where we started from. So there is an opportunity to grow in this sector. And what I would say is that people should focus on the most critical thing that is used to measure success, and that's volumes. All right, how much volume can you collect? You have to be aggressive about how much volume, because that's really what's going to get you a seat at the table. And if you don't have volumes, really nobody's going to talk to you, and nobody's going to want to hear you. But if you come and say, "Look, I'm collecting 30 tons a month," somebody's going to pay attention. Like, 30 tons? Wow, okay, that's a good conversation to have. So I would say if you can work on, looking at how you can collect whatever strategy you need to deploy to get those volumes, and now you can leverage a lot of different things. Friends and family, to raise capital is very important. I always recommend that as a first step. And then if you are feeling bullish, you can look at loans, but you have to be very careful when you take loans. We took I think our first loan from the bank was in 2019-20, and I was a little nervous at the time, but I said, let me try. We paid it back, and we were able to get the working capital we needed to grow. But I say, if you're going to do loans, you have to be smart. Have somebody that's going to advise you on how to make sure you're paying it back, and look at your business model. How much are you buying? Now, the good news about the market is that this is a market that you can actually make money, right? So you just need cash behind it, but the margins are there for you to make the money. The question is how much are you willing to look at your costs, make sure you're smart about it. So I'll say volumes are really the critical thing. How can you grow volumes and make sure that you have at least a seat at the table? But I would say that it's also good to have the selective view, even when you're small. So I'll say one of the best decisions of me personally that I made, and I won't recommend it for everybody else, but for me personally, when Alchem, we had a problem with the bailer, and Alchem's job was to service the bailer. So I remember calling him Ram. I think Ram was in charge of that. We're actually very good friends now. So we had a fight. I said, look, we need to fix your bailer. And he said, no, like just kind of was just blowing me up. I said, look, yeah, come and collect the bailer right now. We want just come and take it right now. And then we had nothing. I was pissed. And the guy was shocked. He was like, who is this guy? Like, I think I was maybe a month in the recycle at the time. He was shocked. But he had that respect because he knew that we didn't need him anymore. We still sold to him, but like on our own terms. I think that really took us on from under that bad dynamic. So I think that you should also be aware of what you're doing and don't let people push you around too much. Sometimes it's okay to be pushed around, but not too much. And then we Cyclers is working on something to help people. Like we have the franchise model. It's a lot better than what I would say a lot of people have done in the past. So we try to stay really close to our franchisees because we know what it takes to do the business, and we're not here for, I would say, trying to catch the glory. I think we've caught enough glory sometimes. I didn't want to say our name on the street. I feel like it's an opportunity to help people be successful and actually to see real money, right? So it's like we didn't really see real money for a while. So even if you decide that, okay, I want to do my own thing, I don't want to be Cyclers to be, you can always use that to learn the ropes, learn about how you scale your volumes, and do it on your own if you decide to. So yeah, I think just being ready to work, focus on volumes, and just know what your capability is.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for dealing with that question. Somebody's asking, before I move on to the other questions that I have personally, the conversations erupts, new questions. And somebody says, what do you think about the opportunity in organic waste? Are there opportunities? What do you think?
I think there is. I mean, it's a good question. Organic waste has always been on the, I'll say, horizon, but we haven't gotten to it yet. And if you look at the percentage of waste, organic waste is obviously the majority, is over 50% of the waste that we collect is organic. And it's going to the landfills, it's not being utilized appropriately. There's a big opportunity there. Obviously, there needs to be some capital to be able to collect, because if you look at how we're collecting waste today, it's using, at least in Lagos, I can't speak for that part of the country, but at least in Lagos is, PSPs, and then the PSP goes to a dump site, and it's just not, I'll say, the most efficient way today. They're still working on making it more efficient. So if somebody comes in and wants to focus on organic, obviously you have to work with PSPs, you have to work with LOMA to be able to collect that waste, and then you have to figure out what's the way to manage it. There are so many different opportunities for organic. You can go into biogas, there's anaerobic digestion for waste to energy, but those things require money, right? But there's an opportunity there. I think on a small scale may not be the most favorable approach, because to turn around the money, there's no path to money right now. Nobody's buying it, and there's no technology that has been deployed. So if you are a business that is just entering the market and you want to focus on that, either you have money behind you to develop the uptake, or I think you probably want to look at something that is more easily turned into money. And that's really the bottom line. Is for a business, you need to be able to make money so you can pay bills, so you can pay your bills.
And the bills are not even smiling; they pile up per second. Yeah. Yes, so I mean, huge opportunities. But I mean, if Nigeria were to be more developed, perhaps might be great. So for Oduchinedu, if you have money, please go into it. I hope that has been helpful. Okay, so I'll take this next question, and then we'll have a little assignment for those of us who are on the call before we move on. Somebody says, how would you advise a new entrant into the waste recycling industry to approach collection, and why? I mean, it's clear that the model that we both run, Green Hill and Recyclers, doesn't necessarily focus on that waste getting to the landfill or the dump site. You already, highlighted that fact to say that's not the most efficient way of collection. I mean, just looking at your background, everybody can see that, the type of waste that we collect, we don't collect this waste. We trap them before they get into the landfill and the dump site. But of course, for that model, right, you have to deploy a lot of, your operations is on another level. You have to deploy a lot of funding. You have to ensure that, you have the network. It's not the easiest path to follow. The easiest path is just to go to the dump site, buy waste, and process it, right? But we're not following the easiest path. We decided to choose the difficult path. So please, let's tell Mr. Abdul, Mr. Abdul, how would you advise a new entrant into the waste recycling industry to approach collection, and why?
It's a good question. Like in the days of early days of our business, we always focus on that door to door, right? Tricycles, and it's changed a lot, right? So now they have a new method of waste collectors that have actually become a big factor over the past, I'll say, 3 years, because of the value of the plastic. So people are just going around the street, scavengers. I mean, I don't want to call it scavengers, but they're waste collectors. I just call them waste collectors. So they have actually become quite, I'll say, dominant in terms of volumes, more than dominant than the door-to-door approach that we have been kind of developing over the years. So it requires you to kind of think a little bit differently as a newcomer. One of the things that I'm working on, and it's like a big frustration for me, is that we have to kind of take the power back a little bit as collectors, because what people are doing is, we're going to go and buy from this aggregator or buy from this person. It's like, why don't you just do what that person does? Like, so for me, it's like, why don't you just do what they're doing, or find a way to do it? Because some of those things that I would say are not the best. There might be child labor involved. There might be I would say indentured labor. There's a lot of, I would say, things that maybe are not so ideal that may kind of be an issue. But that aside, I think the power that those guys have right now over waste collectors or recyclers like us, I would say it's a little bit concerning, because we should be able to have consistent collection ability, and have an understanding of how to do it. So what separates us from anybody else? Because anybody else take money to that, I don't go and pay them for plastics. I mean, so what makes you special? What makes you more, I'll say, more of a business? And you have to have a competitive advantage, right? So if you are relying on just going to this person, like this Aboki or this person, is like, you're not really doing something that is different. So I recommend, as a newcomer, think about your community. Where is the plastic being generated? And what's the easiest way to get to that plastic? How much is it going to require for you to actually put in that collection infrastructure? And be creative about it, right? So if you're able to solve the problem, even in your local area, then that gives you a little bit of advantage to collect at a lower cost, because paying those guys, you're paying them already, and you're losing that margin. So the more you understand where the plastics are coming from, the more you can actually get more value from it. So I recommend that you try to understand where your waste is being generated, and then work on strategies to collect it, whether it's door to door or setting up a kiosk, like what we do with the collection drop-off centers, set up a sites. I mean, there's so many things that you can come up with. But I recommend that you just don't rely on buying from somebody as your solution, because if that person wants to just close your business down, they just say, I'm not selling to you today. And then it's like, and your business is going to close. So that's my advice to you.
Thank you. That's very useful. Creativity, right? And it's a continuous process, actually. It never stops. It never stops. You keep thinking of better ways. You just have to keep staying creative. So yeah, at this point, would like you to click on the link in the chat. We've done like, what, 20 minutes? You've learned a few things, I am sure. So please click on that link and type for us. I mean, that's the least you can do for getting free information like this. People pay for this stuff, right? Not especially from Wale. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Right? So please click on that link and please drop a comment. Let us know what you have learned. If you've picked up anything new, and I'm very certain that you have, please drop it there. Let people who did not join, let them know what they are missing, right? So please tell us. We'll give you 20 seconds to do that, and then we'll on. So please click on the link and drop a comment on the link. Please don't put it in the chat box. Tell it to the world. Let them know what you're learning. Let them know what you're getting from this webinar. Thank you for doing that, and God bless you. Okay, so I mean, you talked about the margins. You said, recycling is a good business. Can we just talk a bit about how profitable is the recycling business in Nigeria right now? I mean, you have bills to pay, right? The bills never end. The bills never end. I mean, 20 kg of binding wire moved from like 12K to like 40K. Oh Lord, and everything else around operations, right, continues to skyrocket, and it doesn't look like it's going down anytime soon. So how profitable really is the recycling business right now? And so what are some of the key factors that can impact a recycling company's revenue streams or stream?
Yeah, it's a good question. Profitability obviously is changing over the time, and we've seen in the early stages we're selling PET to Alchem for 62 naira per kg, right? And even though the margins obviously are a little bit better, the revenue wasn't high. So in terms of profitability, we were not doing that well, because volumes and revenue, you need to have high volume, high revenue to really get that value. So I think that we've definitely seen a shift in profitability over the past 2 years. Like I mentioned, from 2022, we started seeing a lot of demand. Now, the interesting thing is that as your pricing of selling price goes up, your acquisition price is also going to go up. So the margins are really what you're looking at for profitability. It's not how much you're selling the bills, right? It's how much you're selling it minus how much you paid for it, what's your operating costs, that's your profit. So Nigeria hasn't helped, because in addition to the demand and the increase in price, the cost of fuel, the cost of energy, the cost of labor has gone up, because minimum wage has gone up, and that's one of the huge part of your costs is labor. And then you're thinking about energy costs. Logistics is a killer. Like anybody that does logistics is a killer, and then maintenance. So all those things eat into your margin. As a business in the collection space, it wasn't making sense. We're probably barely making ends meet. With grants, you can always kind of like augment your overall operational thing. Now, the biggest question people ask us: are you profitable without grants? Are you profitable without grants? I'm like, look, we are profitable without grants. We were not up until 2020. I think that volume, a couple hundred tons a month, you can make profits in this business. It will be tough, but you can do it without worrying about all the other expenses. And even for us, I can speak about us, as we were making more revenue, our costs are going up. So the bigger we get, we're going to have to start spending things like benefits for our workers. So like we have people, so we have to increase the salaries of people because Nigeria is not helping. And recently we actually doubled most of our managers' salaries. So even though we doubled it, like just so that it could keep up with Nigeria's inflation, right? And that's something that you have to do in order to be able to stay competitive. So you can't just say, no, we're just going to manage the people's salaries and then they're going to come to work again. So there are competing costs that are going to keep eating into your margin. And so the opportunity that you have is keep raising your volumes, because you need to keep pushing your volumes up so that you can increase your revenue, but then keeping your costs low. And that's really the balance that you need to have as a business, is understanding what your costs are, having control over those costs, and be able to monitor those costs. And not just yourself, the people that work with you have to also understand those things. It's still a battle. Like I can't say that we figured it out. We're making all this money. But we're definitely better than we were when we first started. And I think a lot of companies too have that opportunity to be better. Profitability is very possible, but it's going to require some discipline. And don't be shy to take grants. I didn't think everybody should not be shy. Grants to me, if you are creative enough, can be considered some of your operational revenue, because when you are partnering with a business that says, come and help us set up collection points, you need to think about it more from an entrepreneurial view. Okay, what's my margin? That also you should have a margin on that grant. So like, if somebody gives you money to do that, are you paying yourself for that? Or you're just saying, okay, let's just do it for free so that we can get the press. You need to make sure that you are paying yourself for that stress, for the work, because that's going to help you break even. Because the time you put into it, there's a lot of effort you have to put into it. Even if they're giving you money for assets and resources, who's the one actually making the job happen? You are the one. Okay. So I think it's important to be very creative about how you're making money. Look for other opportunities, not just from collections. Make your margins at every possibility that you have.
Look for other opportunities to make money. Wale Adebiyi, if you've not clicked on that link and you've not put this, I'm writing my own. If you've not put your own there, God will not forgive you. Yes, now, because you're dropping gems, man. So people need to, we see all the names on this call, so we'll go and check. I know Charles will do that. Charles Ebune, I hope I pronounced the last name correctly. That one, I can go to sleep. But we're waiting to see others follow suit. Okay. Thank you so much, Wale. Thank you so much for your time so far. Someone says, how does one stay cash flow positive while adapting to the economic uncertainty in Nigeria? I hope you're referring to the recycling company, because you just said cash flow positive. We can only speak for recycling, right? So in this space, Ebere is asking, how can she stay cash flow positive while trying to just adapt to all of the uncertainty in our economy today?
It's a tough thing to do. I mean, not just even in the recycling business. Cash is king. Working capital, cash flow, these are things that really make or break a business, right? And you have to be very protective of the cash, right? So every business transaction you do requires cash. And so businesses also, if you're supplying somebody plastics, more than likely, they would rather you just supply and then they pay you, right? Because they can hold on to their money longer. And big businesses actually manage this business cash position. Some people invest, try to get returns while they are waiting to pay. Some of these big FMCGs, they're doing net 60 or net 90. That means they pay 60 days after supply or 90 days, which is crazy. So yeah, I mean, cash flow is very, very important. So one of the things that you have to do is really try to get paid early. Negotiate as much as you can about people even making deposits. So if we do some export, and it's kind of a pain, to be honest, but you need to be able to leverage making some forex. It's not a bad thing to be able to make forex. So using that to build relationships, but it's a lot of hoops to jump through. And part of our negotiating position is that you have to pay us maybe at least 50% upfront, because we know there's a lot of risk associated with that. And sometimes we'll still be underwater because of a trailer breaks down, or some guy just decides to, just mess up your machine. There's so many different things that could just happen. And we've seen some guy just takes the trailer to his village and say he wants to stay there for 3 days. So you can't even find the guy. So yeah, it's just like there's a lot of things like that. I know I've been through the ringer, swearing for people. I swear for a lot of people. But these are things that can happen. So as a business, you need to try to hold on to money, because the money is going to help you be successful, and you can work money, but you have to be careful, because that comes with responsibility. Like people can call you, oh, where's our material, or where's our money? Blah, blah. So you need to be also responsible And people have to trust that you're going to be doing something with the money that they give you. You don't just take the money and go and do something and come back and say, sorry, we spent the money, or the money's not there. You need to be able to back that money up. You can't just do whatever you want with the money. So cash flow is really important. Understanding how to be a good negotiator, to get money up front for what you do, if you can, so that you can use the money to work. Money works. So that's important for you to learn when you're talking about cash flow.
Absolutely. It's funny how we're both laughing when you were talking about things just breaking. Things just breaking down and things happening. It's funny. We can laugh about it, but when it's happening on the ground,
that's very good.
No. There's a very interesting question here from our very own Idris Adetola of the Coca-Cola NBC. We see you, Idris. You can't hide. We can see you. So he says supplier loyalty is key to long-term business sustainability, right? What is your strategy to ensure the loyalty of your franchisee as well as your non-franchise suppliers, especially in the face of the rapid economic shifts where everyone, is chasing after the highest bidder?
Interesting one. So, you guys, most of the people on this call know that WeCycler has a franchise model that is kind of spread out across the country. We've developed partnerships with other people to develop with franchisees. And we provide support. We give them equipment. Our equipment is not, we don't pay for it. And we actually support those equipment. We go there, maintain it if there's any issues. So those are some of the things that we do to support them. Like, we have an open hand, right? So that's the first thing, that people see our hand. We're not trying to create any gimmicks, no tricks. We deal with our franchisees with an open hand. We want them to trust us, that we want them to have that true into that. And all our franchisees know that WeCyclers will be there for them, rain or shine. If everything falls down, we're going to be there. That's really one of the value that we add to the franchise. Obviously, even with that said, people can be, creative. Oh, let me sell to these people so that I can make some more money. That always happens. And what you have to be smart about is, obviously, you have to have monitoring. So we have our own regional officers that monitor inventory, they monitor operational output daily. So at any point in time, we have M&As all over the country that they can go to spot check and say, hey, what's going on here? And we have found situations where people have been kind of going behind our back, but not for very long, and we have addressed it. And so in those situations, we've been very careful, obviously providing the support and people giving them opportunity to trust us, providing them a competitive price, even though the pricing obviously has to come with a discount because we're offering you support by giving you equipment. So it can be market-based price. It can be close, but it can't be exactly what the market is. In some cases it is, though, but not all the cases. So I think that we try just to work with them on a very open basis, support them, and we've had good success with that. But you always have to verify. You trust, but you verify. So we always do a follow-up verification on a weekly basis. Every week, the franchise M&E, which is called the Monitoring and Evaluation Officer, looks at not just even volume. They look at safety. They look at whether they're using PPE. They look at how are they taking care of the environment. There's a lot of things that they look at, not just whether they are selling to other people. But we can easily find out. And the penalty is pretty safe. Like if somebody is doing that, we don't get any authority to take the equipment from them. And that's a breach of contract. But we don't really lead with that, right? So we try to lead with support and make sure that they know that we're there for them. If the money is coming and they're getting sales, the price is good, they won't have any reason to go outside and sell to other people. And they know that we're going to be there to take it rain or shine. So I think those are some of the strategies that we do to help make sure that the franchises are working. And I think we've had over 90% success rates with our franchises. There have been some failures, but we had over 90%.
Beautiful. Absolutely amazing numbers, especially in this our country when trust is a thing. I see your comments, Abdul. I will stick with Abdul. Trust but verify. Absolutely. Okay, so I see that your question is being answered. Ibere. Dr. Femi is chiming in there. Thank you. We see you.
Hey, Dr. Femi.
It's almost 9, so we're gradually winding down. So when it comes to scaling operations, I mean, that is a big thing, right, within our space. What advice would you give to businesses in this industry? Regardless of what regardless of the economic situation, some people are still, people are scaling at this time, people are building new factories and facilities. People are coming into the space with a lot of investment, right? So, say someone is already existing, what would you advise them in terms of scaling their operations? Are there any specific strategies to ensure that they're sustainable in their growth? especially in a place like Nigeria?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think we should focus on a few very key strategies. I think for us, what has worked has been a focus on partnerships. Our ability to scale has been directly related to how well we work with our partners, and they've helped us grow. And so we found people that would support us, support our vision, and obviously it's mutual benefit, right? So if we are successful, they are able to meet their objectives. The more you're able to help fulfill those objectives with your partners, the better. So I'll say the first thing you should consider is be competent in what you're doing and look for a good partner that's willing to support you to get you to your objective. So I would say that's probably the most critical advice I can give anyone that's just starting out is really focus on their competence, because nobody's going to partner with you if you don't have any competence. Maybe it's, you're good at collecting glass, or you're good at collecting aluminum cans, or you're good at something that really gives you an opportunity and an edge. And then you can leverage that and market it to somebody, and you say, okay, I know somebody in this company, NBC is there, you have Nigerian breweries, you have a lot of these other big companies. I know that they really want to collect these recyclables. That's the objective for them. So finding those partners and showing them that you have the capacity, and then making sure you can prove that in operations is very critical. But yeah, I think competency and then having a good partner and being there for the partner. Like, partners need to see that you are truthful, that you don't tell any. I mean, we had cases, top decisions. I say, why are we not meeting targets? And I'm like, this is what it is. I'm not going to lie. It's like, I'm not going to pretend. I mean, I can easily lie and say, oh, I've done 10,000 tons. I was like, okay, nobody needs to know. But it's a tough conversation to have when you are not meeting the target. But we can say that this is why we're not meeting the target, and this is what we can do to meet it. I think when partners see that you're truthful, honest about what you do, and you're not just focused on making money, I think they'll believe in you and they'll support you.
Wow. Are you guys still sitting there? I think we should stand up, and right now is the time to give a standing ovation. Thank you so much. I see your comment, Abdul. Be competent and look for a mutually beneficial partnership. Click on the link and write it there. As one of the things that you've learned, Abdul Akim, I am going to look out for your name. Schweib, I can't pronounce your name, God. But yes, I know the name, and I'm going to look out for your comments on LinkedIn. Please click on the link. Admin, share that link again, so that, we can drop some of these things. And it could help somebody else, right? It's not just about promoting the webinars, if we're, but just, thank you, it's already there. It can actually encourage people to learn more, to even follow our guests. That's one of the ways that we say thank you to them. They can also take people under their wings and mentor them, right? So please drop that comment there. Thank you, Dr. Fia. I see that you're already helping to sort out some of the questions in the chat. I have my people behind me. They say, show me your network, and I'll tell you your net worth. I have my people behind me, not seeing the shake. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're wrapping up very soon. Thank you, Yusuf. I hope you've dropped your comments there. How great and impactful this session has been to you. Yusuf used to be my maiden name, so I'm very sure I'll find you on LinkedIn. I'm gonna look for you. Okay, so Chinedu says, with the current recycling landscape, which asset is most valuable to own as a business? Very smart question. A baling machine or crushing machine? I already know the answer to this one, but please go ahead.
Definitely, for me, it's a baler. Crushing machine is a headache, in my opinion. It's like, this is me that's talking. I'm not a major expert, but I've been there, done that. And the shege that crushing machine that showed me, it almost crushed our business. The crushing machine almost crushed our business. So I'll say, you want to focus on making money. Crushing machine, you don't have the capacity at this point to really support the crushing machine. First of all, if you have a crushing machine, you have to have a generator, a big generator, not a small one. Because I remember when we joined recyclers, we had a 1 ton an hour. It was a big one. I don't even know how Blake has got it. She just somebody gave. I know people just used to give stuff that time. And so we said, let's start crushing these things. We can make more money. So we're crushing. Then we need to buy blades though. Start buying blades. The blades started crashing. So okay, we now got some money and said, okay, let's just expand our crush. Let's start crushing to our camp and we can be bigger. So we now set up a small factory. We're crushing. I would get calls at midnight, like 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh, forgot there's a screw that was in the crusher that destroyed the machine. And so we had to now refabricate the whole thing. And it was just a nightmare. It really took away from our focus on collections, because really that's what you have to focus on, is collections. That is the competitive advantage that you have, not crushing. People that can crush, they're crushing with $1 million machines. Police Mats, Aleph, Alchem, Sonex, their machines are close to $1 million. That's what they're using to crush. And if you're using a small crusher, and then you might make a little bit more money. I say it's my own opinion, but the amount of maintenance that required for you to do it, you need to be making serious money, serious money. So for me, it'll be very simple. Baler, much more to maintain, and you can make money.
And the margins are not even as huge as they used to be, actually.
Yeah.
Between
crushing,
it
was almost the same.
Yeah, as they used to be. And recently or currently, you've seen a huge demand even for bales, right? Even sure. So I mean, really, what's the point? So people just have this assumption that, oh, if you're crushing, then you are in big business.
Yeah, you just graduated.
That you graduated. Your Shege Pro Max has just graduated. Okay, Dr. Fia wants to say something. Doctor, please go ahead. Doctor,
okay. Thank you very much, man. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Miriam, for this wonderful session. And thank you, the Doyen. I call Wale the Doyen of recycling. Well done. The truth is, what Wale said is the truth, absolute truth about crushing. I started collection. I couldn't collect much because I was itching, because I was trained to process waste. So I was itching to process. So I went into crushing. And it wasn't easy at the beginning. It was tough, because I was trying to cut corners. I did locally fabricated crusher because of cost. I think I wrote it in the chat room. Crushing is midstream and upstream value chain of recycling. It's not small money. It's highly technical and highly cost investment. So I won't tell new entrants who are not technically sound or who don't have the investment behind them to go into that space. So if you want to come into recycling, low-hanging fruits is collection. And we need to get the collection right. We have not even gotten the collection right. And like Wale said when he was speaking, everybody is still chasing the same set of plastic. There are new areas, new locality, new locations that they have not even heard about recycling collection. So if you want to start new entrant with little or minimal investment, I would say go into collection. And with what Recycler, through Wale, what they're doing, they can hold you by hands because they've done that. He has explained the franchise model, which I believe is a more sustainable way to come in and learn from people who have gone before you. And that's, for me, that's another way of collaboration and another way of partnership. I say it everywhere, partnership, partnership, partnership. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Dr. Fia, I say it every time. Now, man, you be, I'm allowed. It's my webinar. I can speak pidgin English. I can say anything. Thank you so much, Dr. Fia. I've had a very stressful day, extremely stressful day. But, the joy I feel from these webinars, nobody can understand it, because some of us didn't have these opportunities. I mean, I remember talking to you. You're one of the few people, very few people who, I still say it today, who was willing to, even have a conversation, and just, a lot of people don't have people who show them the ropes, and you find a lot of people come into the space, they make a lot of mistakes, lose money, and then go with that narrative, out there to say, oh no, recycling is not this, recycling is not that, and to be honest, that's what this is trying to change. That's what gave birth to all of these webinars. I'm sure there's something that you're supposed to be doing. We both know where you are right now, which is something you're also very passionate about. And with the day that I've had, I should just be resting. But the joy that comes from this, and then just the fulfillment, understanding that hopefully people are getting value and they're able to implement, especially able to implement what they learn from here. We look forward to some of your success stories. We hope you would not hide and keep them, when it happens, to say, oh, I picked up on this, I followed this person, I learned from them, this person was able to mentor me, this person was able to teach me, and, it has formed part of my journey. We've gone overboard. Thank you for your time. I think this is a perfect way to wrap up this webinar. Please don't forget, put the comment in the chat, or sorry, put your comments on the link, click on the link and share your comments. Let's know what you've learned. And hopefully, follow our guests on LinkedIn. You can follow myself as well. You can follow Dr. Fia. These are people that you would learn a lot from in this space. Thank you so much, Wale, for your time. We hope this has been very, very useful for everyone who has been on this call. It's a continuous learning process. There's so much we're discovering, we're uncovering, we're learning each day, but we're definitely getting better. Those of us who have stayed in this space for this long, we're getting better than where we started. And we hope that this can actually also help you, propel you to move forward. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much.
It'll be a nice time to take a photo. So if you don't mind, turn on your camera. Sorry?
I want to say thank you also, for doing this. It's an honor. It really means a lot to me, and I'm happy to have this audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Please turn on your cameras if you can. I came late. It's okay. We understand.